Did the Oklahoma Sooners make the right call?
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase over at Game Time. He's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Welcome to Locked On Sooners. The Oklahoma Sooners made a big decision by benching Jackson Arnold and going with Michael Hawkins late in the first half against Tennessee. Now that we've had a couple days to process, sleep on it, reflect, Jay, do you think the Oklahoma Sooners made the right call in that game?
Absolutely. Your offense needed a spark. We were struggling just in all capacities, run game, blocking, you name it, we struggled. So it made sense to give Michael Hawkins the opportunity to show, all the stuff we've been hearing about in practice, right? All we've heard week after week is that in practice that he's been making all kinds of plays and torching players. Well, then why not give him the opportunity now? Because we kind of desperately need it, if you think about it.
You kind of see the same thing happen sometimes in hockey, Jay, where your starting goalie just doesn't have it on any particular a given night, gives up a couple soft goals, maybe, first period, second period, something like that. And you get into a big deficit. And the coach, he's like, hey, let's just make a change. He didn't have it tonight. We're going to go make a switch. And then it gives the team a spark because maybe those soft goals come as a result of poor defending. And you don't want to leave your guy out there any longer than he should be based on what you're getting out in front of him. I think you had to do this simply because Jackson Arnold just wasn't right. His head just wasn't right. His decision-making wasn't right. I don't know what happened to the dude that we saw against Tulane, who looked to be playing with a lot more confidence, a lot more swagger, just a lot better decision-making, aside from, the throw he made to Deion Burks late over the middle. It just seems like that guy disappeared from one week to the next. And maybe it was the pressure, maybe it was the circumstances, maybe it was Tennessee's defense. There's a number of factors involved as to why Jackson Arnold just couldn't perform, but it was a move that had to be made. And it took a minute for Michael Hawkins to kind of get his feet underneath him, figure out what was happening on the field. But once he did, he looked really, really promising.
He did. He looked like he had a good enough command of the offense, right? I know a lot of people are going to jump in the comments and say, well, why didn't we do this on the start of the season? There's a reason why true freshmen typically don't take over a team day one, right? You may see flashes in practice, but you know them, right? There's sometimes you can see certain things in practice where you're like, he may not be ready just yet for the limelight. Well, in this, the first snap, what happened? Kind of a fumble, right? And it's between him and the center building a chemistry. And that's no shade to him. I think that Michael is going to be really good. I told a buddy of mine before the season started, I was like, hey, man, I wouldn't be surprised if he pushes to try to take that starting job by midseason. That was nothing against Jackson Arnold. It's just, I know watching him, I saw him play at Frisco Emerson once. And I'm like, okay, there's something different about this kid. Plus his dad, former NFL, he's worked with NFL people. Everything about Michael Hawkins makes me think, he's got an opportunity to be special. And as soon as he got the nod, man, you saw the team rally around him and say, hey, you got this. We've got your back. We're going to make sure you're taken care of, blah, blah, blah. And so now the bigger thing is for him is to keep building on that confidence. But Sooner fans, this is the thing I think everybody needs to understand, John, and I hope that you help me reiterate this statement. We're about to watch him learn on the fly. So if you're willing to give grace, he should be good. Because I had someone jump in my comments before and say something about like nobody turned on Caleb. Caleb won Red River by himself, basically. And after he did that, those throws were YOLO. Like nobody was going to make those throws. He just YOLO'd it. And of course, just the fact that he made that deep run for the touchdown to spark things off and it started to lead to the snowball effect is more so what I mean. You kind of don't question that when you watch a dude put the team on his back and go, right? Especially when you had the struggles of Spencer to begin it, right? 28-7. And Caleb's like, nah, guys, get on my back. I got you. Yeah, you're not gonna question him for the rest of the season. He took the ball from his teammate against Kansas and ran it in for a touchdown, John. So be prepared to let Michael Hawkins learn on the fly. When he starts doing his own Superman impressions, cool, we'll be excited. But if he makes mistakes, don't lose your mind. Give him some time.
Yeah, and I think what people were willing to say when Caleb Williams took over is, hey, we got a true freshman. Also, you'd seen a year and a half of Spencer Rattler, and we're kind of ready to move on. Now, it's a little bit different because you have 4 starts with Jackson Arnold, and maybe you want to be able to say, hey, this is who this kid is, and not go back. That's fine. I can't really argue with you at this point, but yeah, Michael Hawkins, he's going to have some ups and downs. He's going to have some true freshman things happen. Same thing happened with Caleb Williams. And it was for a first down. It wasn't for a touchdown on the ball in which he stole the ball. And also, I got to give credit to my guy, Marvin Mims. If he doesn't come up Superman himself, maybe we're not talking about Caleb Williams in the same thing.
I totally agree.
So put that out there.
The fact that the throw was made.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
no one just throws that normally, right?
Right. I mean, it was incredible throws. They were incredible throws. But at the same time, to your point, if we're going with the Michael Hawkins experience, which I think you believe we should, I believe we should, there's going to be some ups and downs. But what do you see out of Michael Hawkins that gives you optimism for what he might be able to do and accomplish for the Oklahoma Sooners this year?
With the struggles on the offensive line, I think my boy Coop said that we are on 13 iterations of this offensive line. Like, this is the 13th version of this line that we're watching play. That's chemistry is what's lacking, right? If we would have had like 3 versions of this line, I think this line plays a heck of a lot better. Right now, and even Gabe Eichert even said this on Oklahoma Breakdown, they're not communicating with each other enough. Like, they need to talk it out constantly just because they haven't played together enough to build that instant chemistry where they're used to where one guy is going to go, right? Who's going to pick up what? You got to tell each other who's going to grab what spot. Mm-hmm. To me, Hawkins he's going to give you some time. Now, I think he does drop back a little too deep on his pass routes.
Yeah.
He drops back pretty deep. Like, he's not doing 3-step drops. He's doing like 5-step drops out of shotgun.
15-step drops.
A 15-step drop from under center basically is what he's doing. And I mean, that's a deep drop that can be detrimental, but at the same time, it does give him space because of his athleticism. He can get away. Now, you don't do that against Dylan Stewart, right? You don't do, James Pierce, you're able to, but you don't do that against Dylan Stewart. That dude's too fast, right? You got to be careful what edges you try that on. You got to make sure that you're willing to get up there in that pocket. But I think that he's going to give us someone that's going to be willing to take the throw. I went back and watched the game, John. I'm probably going to watch it again tonight before I go to bed, especially since I'm on Pacific time and no longer on Central. I'm 2 hours ahead. I'm going to probably go back and rewatch through some portions of it, especially him when he went in. And Jackson, on the interception he threw, Hester was open, but he threw it way too late. Like, way too late. When he decided to throw it, the corner already saw the route and started to jump it. It's like, no, you got to throw that with anticipation. Yeah. That's what Hawkins did to that pass to Petaway. Like, when he hit him on that cross, he anticipated him being there. As soon as Petaway turned, boom, ball's there, and he's going. We need someone that's willing to throw it in anticipation and not always see somebody open. Just butt naked open. And this is the one question I have, John. Where's the Jackson Arnold we had against Arkansas State? Like, where's that dude? 11 for 11, 140-something yards? He looked comfortable in that. It was Arkansas State. We didn't see that even against Temple. Against Arkansas State, he was out there just dime. Now, granted, the wide receiver room was different. He had Jaden Gibson to launch that ball too, so I get that. But where was that, right? And it seems that he keeps throwing it very high to really short receivers. I don't get that.
Yeah, it's all off. Like, I watched Jackson Arnold throw a deep ball, and it's not right because even against Tulsa, you go back and watch, Nic Anderson's 3-touchdown day. Jackson Arnold threw one of them on a deep ball down the sideline, and it was a perfectly placed deep ball right in Nic Anderson's basket. All he had to do was run under it. That's not happening right now. Jackson Arnold's not properly placing even his deep ball, which he's got a really good deep ball when his mind's right. I think he's just got the yips a little bit right now, and it's going to take some work to get through that. But kind of back to Michael Hawkins, I think you're absolutely right. He does play with a little bit more anticipation. I think he plays a little bit faster in his head. That could be a great thing sometimes, and maybe not so great sometimes. But in addition to the throw to Petaway, the throw to Zion Raggins on that, it was like a 10-yard out or a shallow post or a shallow corner, whatever you want to call it, was a really, really nice throw as well. And Raggins made a great catch on the ball on the sideline. But again, it was one of those just a really, really nice placed ball. And I thought he threw the slants really, really well, where guys were able to catch it and get a few more yards upfield. So listen, it was really, really encouraging. And I think we're both in agreement here that he should be the one that gets the start against Auburn and just see what happens. I mean, what do you have to lose? You got 2 touchdowns on, 2 of your final 3 drives against Auburn. And hey, there's a chance for more. Seth Luttrell, as much fire as he's been under over the last few weeks, drew up a really, really nice play on that 4th and 14, got the guy open where he wanted him. Hawkins just missed him. And that's going to happen. Your quarterback's going to miss guys. It's just an opportune time to miss guys. Oklahoma suffered several injuries that are going to have some big time ramifications. We'll discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more in the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Now, the one you should probably look at is that Oklahoma is a 2.5-point favorite on the road in Auburn. Yeah, I mean, we have questions about Auburn, and we'll talk about them this week, but that's definitely a spread to check out. So head over to FanDuel.com, and they will get you taken care of.
So the Oklahoma Sooners had players suffer several injuries. The big one, Kendall Dolby, the fractured, or we assume a broken leg, and
dislocation.
Dislocation. There you go. So dislocation, he's going to be out for some time. Who knows exactly the right timeline just yet? I'm sure Brent Venables will have a better update on that. But what does that do for Oklahoma's defense, Jay?
Man, Dolby was him at Cheetah. Not only was he really good in coverage, his ability to blitz is fantastic, right? Like, he brought a different element because of his speed. Like, we saw how Robert Spears-Jennings went through and got that sack that forced a fumble on Nico. Mm-hmm. That's the stuff that Dolby was doing, right? He was getting into that mode, and he was out there disrupting quarterbacks all season. That's a huge struggle for us because of his instincts and ability. Now, that's not saying that Samuel Mosigo's not growing. We got to watch him, right, live grow up in that role, and he did really good in this game, in his last game especially. So we'll see a lot of Mosigo. Hopefully we get some Deshaun McCullough back so we can probably slide somebody else in the cheetah role and move McCullough over to linebacker. But, John, when I really think about it, I mean, he is the biggest loss probably outside of that wide receiver room, because he's the first defensive player to be out extended time significantly outside of Gentry Williams. And man, do we really need Gentry now?
Yeah, and they showed you, Tennessee did, how much you miss Gentry because, listen, Woody Washington, all due respect, man, you just weren't able to hang this past Saturday night, and it just didn't look good.
With them eyes, man.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Zach Alley left them in some zero coverage at times, and they got burnt. Tennessee was able to take advantage. Nico made some really nice plays. Their wide receivers got open, and it hurt Oklahoma. At the same time, you need your depth back. You need Gentry Williams back to help at corner so that you can slide a Woody into the slot so that you can utilize your guys at Cheetah. I think you're right. Samuel Mosigo is the guy that's probably going to benefit the most early on. Mm-hmm. I could foresee a Lewis Carter sliding in at some Cheetah as well, because he played really, really well in the snaps that he got. I mean, he was phenomenal. I think he had like 25 snaps or so, according to Pro Football Focus, and he had 5 stops, which led the team defensively, or tied for the team lead with Robert Spears-Jennings. So he was really, really good. I think you'll see more Peyton Bowen, which he had a ton of snaps this week. They've liked him at Cheetah at times, and the dude's just a playmaker as well. So if you're looking for a one-on-one comparison between Kendall Dolby and another defender, Peyton Bowen might be that comp that kind of fits what Dolby does really, really well.
Yes.
Elsewhere, Elsewhere, Nic Anderson re-aggravated his hamstring. Sucks. We had him out there for like a minute and got a target, but then got hit pretty hard and dropped the pass. That really hurts the wide receiver room, man.
Yeah, it didn't look like he was all there either, right? But that drop pass, it just didn't even seem like he was even fighting for it. And it makes me think, yeah, he's definitely, there's something a little bit more serious there with that hamstring growing or whatever the heck it is. That sucks. I mean, he had 9 snaps in the game. We need him.
Yeah.
Right. Not only is he his ability to run routes and be disruptive in that, he can block. He's actually really good at blocking. And so because he's drawing the attention of the defense in the RPO type setup, they're going to follow him and then he's going to block the heck out of him downfield, which is what you need to be able to open up the run, especially when you do those outside zones and get Javonte Barnes run up the sideline like that. You need a dude that's going to be able to create that type of opening so that the running backs can go. So that does suck, right? You saw losing him and Dolby. I mean, Dolby's definitely done for a few weeks. We may see Nick Texas, right? It's probably the closest you're going to see him. I hate that for him because, man, he had an opportunity to really put up some numbers this season.
Yeah, and there's still an opportunity for him if he can actually get healthy for the second half of the season. I think you're right. We absolutely need him. This wide receiver room is young. It's inexperienced. Outside of Deion Burks, you don't really have somebody that's consistently making plays. So yeah, you definitely need him. The JJ Hester experiment, I just don't think that that's working out just yet. Maybe with somebody who can put the ball on him a little bit better, maybe it works better.
Somebody that actually throw him the ball. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. But hey, you're getting something out of Jaquays Petaway now. Does he, move him into the slot? You can move Deion Burks to the outside. Does that give you a little bit more options now that Petaway's kind of emerged a little bit? We'll see. The other one, Deion Burks suffered a soft tissue injury. Taylor Tatum, concussion in the game. Hopefully both of those guys are going to be ready to roll for Auburn.
Yeah, I'm going to just say don't expect to see Tatum until Texas, right? They're probably going to be very cautious because the way it looked, he got the ball, got hit. They did a hurry up and gave him the ball again. I think he was concussed the play before.
Yeah.
And we were just running the hurry up offense. It didn't catch it. And he wobbled to the sideline. And I'm like, ooh, he does not look good. And so if that's the case, yeah, I don't anticipate him being back until closer to Texas. And give him next week. Give him the bye week. So it's the Sam Franklin show at this point. I need Sam Franklin to do something. Put Caleb Hicks in there. Just give him the ball and just say, hey, dude, if you want snaps here, go make something happen. This makeshift offensive line, we're still trying to get them some chemistry. If you can make something happen, you make some lemonade out of this league, these lemons we're gonna hand you. Hey man, we're gonna have to give you more snaps. But at this point, man, you need to just be playing all your running backs. We got to find somebody that wants to be the number one, that wants to find the hole, the ones that wants to bust through and not be hesitant because it's all we're seeing is hesitation from our backfield. And I hate it because we saw them when they were confident and now we're just seeing them just like meh. But I wonder if Hawkins at quarterback is going to help spark them as well.
There's going to be potential because another read option threat, maybe somebody who runs the RPO with a little bit better consistency. If I have one complaint with Seth Luttrell, it's keeping the RPO as part of the game plan with Jackson Arnold. They keep every week, right? Every week we've heard them talk about Jackson Arnold not making the right choice on an RPO. Why do we continue to have done it? Why are we doing it? Why are we doing it?
John,
I don't understand that.
We talked about this here.
Maybe Hawkins can run it better.
John, we talked about it here. Just script the entire play. Tell him when to do the read. There's no reads. Forget giving him the option.
Hand the ball off.
You're going to go.
Yeah.
This is what you're going to do every single time, right? If you're going to run this RPO, you're always going to hand it off at this moment. I don't care what it looks like. Hand over the ball. If then on this play, pass it to this guy at this many second intervals, right? Don't give him the options to be able to think. And that's what it is. He was thinking too much. You could tell. He looked like he was thinking way too much. It's not going to help us long term. We got to do better than that.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe Hawkins can run the RPO a little bit better because it's going to be a part of the offense. And if he can, perhaps that creates some free running lanes for the running backs to actually make some things happen because there have been opportunities where, hey, if Jackson Arnold hands the ball off instead of keeps it and looks to make a pass, maybe they pick up 4 or 5 yards and they pick up an easy gain. But that just hasn't been happening. So maybe if Hawkins is a little bit more comfortable understanding his reads on the RPO, perhaps that creates a little bit better opportunities in the running game. But I'm with you. You got to get Sam Franklin out there more. I know he hasn't played a ton at this level. Still, I think he's a decisive runner, and he's somebody who can at least, I think he can cut back pretty quick. He moves his feet really well. And then I think you're right. You got to get Caleb Hicks on the field. You got to give him an opportunity at least. Like, what is it going to hurt you at this point? Nothing. Right now, aside from, you got a big 17-yard run out of Javonte Barnes. What did he finish with in rushing yards? 14 yards.
Yeah.
So he had one big run, and then everything else was either zero or negative. So the Oklahoma run game is terrible right now. And that's on your offensive line coach. That's on your offensive coordinator. That's on your offensive line. It's terrible. It's on your running backs coach. They got to get that figured out. And they got to get it figured out in a hurry, because Auburn is not going to sit back and, play coverage and let you run the ball. No, they're going to be stacking the box and forcing Michael Hawkins to beat you, presuming it's Michael Hawkins that gets to start. So, yeah, you got to give somebody else some options. If Taylor Tatum's not going to be available and you don't feel good about Gavin Sawchuk, what do you have to lose running Sam Franklin or Caleb Hicks out there? Hey, listen, there was not very much good to come out of that game, but on the defensive side of the ball. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I love the Game Time app because it allows me to see the all-in pricing. I get to see exactly what my view from my seat's going to look like. I don't have to worry about obstruction. I don't have to worry about these weird angles that you might run into. The Game Time app lets me see exactly what my view is going to be before I ever purchase a ticket. That's a beautiful aspect of the app. So go download the Game Time app, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. You can download it in your Google Play Store, in your App Store. Use our promo code LOCKEDONCollege and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, Jay. So we've beat the offense like a dead horse.
Yeah, I feel so bad for him too. I hate abusing them like that, but had to be said.
It is what it is. It is what it is. But hey, we get to talk about a defense that played really well and played really good football. And Tennessee fans, fine. You want to talk about how you guys got conservative? Okay, great. It nearly cost you. Oklahoma kind of got within striking distance again at the end. So anyway, the Oklahoma defense played really, really well. And not just in the second half when Tennessee was just looking to run out the clock. They played really good in the first half. Aside from a couple big plays, Oklahoma's defense was really hanging with the Tennessee Volunteers and giving the Sooners a chance to lead, or a chance in the game. Sorry, not to lead, but in the game.
They did. They gave them a very, very good chance, because I put it this way. The three big plays, I talked to a buddy about this not too long ago, and he talks about how Sooner fans didn't want to hear him when he was saying this, and I mean, he was spot on with this. When you have as aggressive as a defense as we want to play, you're going to give up big plays. It's going to happen. It's going to happen because sometimes you're going to sell out, and if they are prepared enough and flick it even short, they don't have to always go deep. They can go short, and boom, you're going to give it up, right? And
what do you got beat for? What do you got beat on a little slant?
Right, exactly. And with that one, that was more of a, to me, I was a little perturbed with Zach Alley's choice there, mainly because whenever it's second and short, that's the best opportunity to go deep, especially if you got a good run game, right? We know Tennessee's run game is good. So, yeah, fire that thing deep. Go ahead and give it a shot just in case. You never know. You may make something happen. But besides that, we saw a lot of aggressiveness, right? The secondary looks good. Besides, the three big plays that Tennessee got, because they only got three in the whole game, right? You got the big touchdown by Thornton. Brew McCoy got two big catches deep. That was it. The rest were really like, onesie, twosie, shorter plays. And Nico didn't even finish with 200 yards. Like, this is his fourth game. Well, his third game of the season, he didn't get over 200 yards. We kept him under 200, which is pretty impressive for this defense, right? We typically give up yards, chunk yards. They didn't want to, and this goes to the stars of the defense, right? When that right tackle went down, we talked about this before. That right tackle went down, man. They realized, oh, shoot, we're in trouble. Run the ball, burn the clock, try not to pass it as much. And Nico kept getting hit. So they were trying to avoid him getting tackled and stuff. I think PFF actually credited us with 6 sacks, but it was more so because we tackled him right at the line of scrimmage. So we didn't get full credit on the actual official stat numbers. But man, we were 6 sacks in a game is not something I would have ever thought that we could get. Yeah. Not this unit in conference play.
Yeah. Well, PFF doesn't give out half sacks. So that might be
that's probably what it is.
If you get a half sack, you get a whole sack, according to PFF. But no, the pressure game was really good. I mean, they kept Nico under pressure, in a lot of ways. He didn't have a lot of opportunities just sit back there and diagnose. He had to be quick with the ball out of his hands as well. You look at the first half, second half comparisons, and we talked about the run game at different times in our live show. I've talked about it on social media. And Tennessee fans have wanted to say, hey, we got conservative in the second half. Well, look, in the first half, Oklahoma held them to 2.8 yards per attempt on the ground. On 28 carries, they only got 78 rushing yards in the first half. So you can got conservative in the second half all you want. In the first half, when the game was still pretty much in doubt, Oklahoma's defense was stepping up. Play after play after play, series after series after series. You got the big plays, and obviously that became the difference in the football game. But other than those 3 big plays, Oklahoma's defense did really a great job. I mean, they got to Nico Yamalava. They gifted the offense the ball at the 5-yard line and another time in Tennessee's end of the field, and we couldn't come away with any points on it.
Yeah. No, exactly at all.
Yeah. When the defense does that, you've got to be able to contribute offensively to a gift that you've been given.
Yeah, exactly. With that, we got 9 tackles for loss. That's the preventable. We got 9. That's freaking amazing, right? You could tell that the defense turns it on and they recognize that they're the ones that's going to have to do it, right? They're the type to be like Thanos and say, fine, I'll do it myself. Right. The only problem is that unless they're able to find ways to score more, they can't do everything themselves. So to be honest, don't be surprised if you start seeing the aggression of the defense where they're trying to get more pick sixes, like they're trying to jump routes, catch the ball and go, and they try to get strip sacks that they can pick up and run. Don't be surprised if they start doing that more. Now, that means that we won't get as many, right? You may see some busted plays more often, but it looks like for them, it's about, hey, somebody's got to score. So we're going to do it, or at least try to put you in a position where you can at least get 3 points. The good thing is that I do believe that if we do get another strip sack at the 5, we ain't going to fumble it right behind them. Right? We're not going to immediately fumble the ball back because, anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that too much, but the defense was there. The line was good. Those edges were aggressive, John, and I love that.
Yeah, the defensive line is a strength for the Oklahoma Sooners. And it's been a long, long time since we've been able to say that, both from a run-stopping perspective and a pass rush perspective. Again, they had Nico, in some trouble. Oklahoma had 11 total pressures in the game. Led by, I think, who was it? Ethan Downs had the most with 2. Kobe McKenzie had 2 as well. But they were getting pressure from a lot of different guys. And that's what you need to do to play good team defense. Yes, it's great to have a Dylan Stewart. It's great to have, a James Pierce that are these superstar pass rushers. Obviously, Oklahoma's got one that maybe is on that trajectory. But you got to be able to get pressure from a lot of different sources. It can't always just be one guy because a good offensive coordinator can neutralize one guy. But Oklahoma's defense was getting good pressure on Nico. He was under pressure on 25% of his dropbacks. And he was just 2 of 7 on those. So would you like more pressure? Sure. But he was getting the ball out pretty quick. He was, getting the ball out on average 2.79 seconds, according to Pro Football Focus. The only time that he was not getting the ball out really quickly was when he was under pressure. So I like what Oklahoma's doing from a pressure standpoint. If the coverage can hold up a little bit better on the back end, that's going to make things go a little bit easier for you. And they're going to get an opportunity to make some big plays against an Auburn team that doesn't have the quarterback situation that Tennessee does this week.
I agree. That for us, the most important thing is going to be to turn up the intensity, right? We have a very aggressive defense, so be prepared. You're going to have busted plays here or there because the defense is going to be so aggressive. But we're going to need to see more of that. Keep being aggressive. Keep thumping folks. That's going to be the most important thing for us going forward. And I think I think we'll be fine. I think that the defense is going to be what carries us. And I think if we have a halfway of a pulse on the offensive side, we're going to do some things.
Just don't turn the ball over, and you have a better chance of winning that game against Tennessee. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all platforms and on YouTube, so hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Sooners, also Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you like to do for social media, we are there. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports, myself at John 9 Williams. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Boomer.
Sooner.